Welcome to this presentation on fixing your attention span. In this presentation, I'm going to show you 5 powerful ways in which you can increase your attention span. You are going to go from a novice to an attention span pro, provided you actually apply these 5 powerful ways in your life. But before we begin, let's talk about why should you even increase your attention span. The reason why you should increase your attention span is because literally everything that is worth doing requires ability to focus. Like, think about it. Your career requires ability to focus. Your business requires ability to focus. Academics requires ability to focus. Even your relationships require that you are alert and able to focus on your partner or your sibling, whatever the type of relationship is. Without focus, you cannot learn. You are forever a child. Like, your ability to absorb information, your ability to perceive the world is essentially blocked if you cannot focus on a task. If you cannot focus on something for more than 10-20 minutes, then you cannot take in information. Your growth is stunted, and that is scary. Scary to live in a world where you cannot learn. It's tricky giving a presentation like this because the topic of the presentation is how to fix your attention span. So I'm going to assume that most of the people who are watching this struggle to maintain attention. So here's the challenge for you guys. Watch this thing in its entirety. Complete this thing, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Watch it. Do not scroll to the comments. Do not check out other thumbnails. Focus. I know it's going to be uncomfortable, but focus. So what puts me in a position to give this presentation? Let's talk about who I was as a person prior to me fixing my attention span. I couldn't study for more than 20 minutes. Like, I still remember just wiggling on my chair, distracted. It almost felt like energy building up inside me, and I couldn't just focus. I simply couldn't. My mind was just zoning out every 20 minutes and I was lost. So my ability to focus was capped at 20 minutes. At least that's how long my study sessions were back in high school. And as a result of that, I had shitty grades and I'd failed multiple subjects in high school. I failed physics, chemistry, and maths. But they kind of gave me grace marks. They passed me. So that's how I was able to go to uni. But I was a pretty bad student. Pretty bad student. Like, all of my teachers can attest to this. My parents and teachers used to call me careless and irresponsible, and rightly so, man. Rightly so. Like, there was this one particular instance where I was supposed to take my passport to a bank, and I had to fill some forms with it. After filling the forms, I just went home. And it's only like after a couple of days the bank called me. They told me I left my passport there. And that's how irresponsible I was. That's how lost I was. I was just this zombie living in my own world. And yeah, it was pretty bad. And I was very easily bored, left books halfway. Well, not even halfway. I used to read like the first 10-20 pages and then just used to get bored and move on to something else. I never completed a book before the age of 23. This is a fact. Maybe like books that were part of my coursework, I might have finished a book or two, but nothing that I picked on my own terms. I never completed a book before the age of 23. That's how poor my attention span was. That's how bored I used to get. And I remember even trying to read the same sentence of a book over and over again and still not be able to comprehend what the hell the author meant. This was who I was just a couple of years ago. So who am I now? Now I'm able to do deep focused work for 4 to 5 hours a day. Now, what exactly do we mean by deep work? I'll come to that later. But for now, let's just assume that I was able to focus or give my attention to something for 4 to 5 hours a day. This was like a massive jump from just 20 minutes a day to 4 to 5 hours a day. I attained straight A's in my master's and bachelor's degree. I hold a bachelor's degree in electronics and telecommunication and a master's degree in electrical engineering. So this is a pretty challenging specialization, and I was able to get straight A's in both my master's and my bachelor's program. So this is some sort of proof that my ability to focus has given me some rewards. Additionally, I was a software engineer and intern at Fortune 500 companies like Dell, AMD, and Synopsys. So software engineering interviews are notorious for being difficult, really difficult, and you have to spend like hours and hours and hours in order to grind out lead code questions and get really good at algorithms and data structures. I was able to do that, and it's all thanks to my ability to focus 4 to 5 hours a day. So I didn't mean to brag, but I was able to turn from this zombie who could only focus for 20 minutes to this person who is at Fortune 500 companies and can focus 4 to 5 hours a day and have elite focus. This puts me in a position to actually give you this presentation, and this way I can give you the powerful tools and techniques that got me here and would probably work for you, because I'm not a genius. I wasn't born this way. I was actually a below average student, and I transformed myself into this. The number one thing that is ruining your attention span is short form content. Let's talk about this. So in the last decade, there has been a significant increase in the diagnosis of ADHD. Coincidentally, in the last decade, there has been a rise in short form content, and the diagnosis of ADHD and short form content, well, they overlap significantly. And this is because of something called neuroplasticity. Like, your brain literally has the ability to rewire itself based on the stimulus that it is receiving. So for example, you play football for like 100 days in a row. After that, you are actually going to get better at football, because you have fed your brain with that stimulus. Your brain has rewired itself, and now you are, let's say, neurologically primed for football. You're better at football. So neuroplasticity is a gift. It's amazing. It allows us to master things, get good at things. But if you feed yourself garbage, if the stimulus that you're receiving is garbage, such as in the form of short form content, then you're basically rewiring yourself to only be able to focus for short durations. If you are watching TikTok videos that are 30 seconds long, then you're basically teaching your brain to lose your attention span. And imagine doing this, browsing TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts for hours and hours and hours on end, and for years. This is why you have poor attention span, because you have actually rewired yourself. Additionally, when you watch these clips, these are usually the highlights of someone's life. These are highly entertaining content that will make other things boring in comparison. Like, after a scrolling session that is like an hour long, where you've just watched highlights of multiple people's life, amazing things, their visits to Paris, their weddings, they doing some trick on a skateboard, some guy pumping iron and building muscle. It's very hard to then go and read a book, which is just black and white text on paper. So if you truly want to get your attention span back, or if you truly want to increase your attention span, the number one thing that you need to do is get rid of all these apps. These apps are poisonous. These are poisonous, literally poisonous. Delete them. They are making you retarded. They're making you dumb. They're lowering your IQ points. They're eating your attention away. Uninstall all of them.
For those of you who are new here, my name is Jibreal Khan. I help men become the most productive versions of themselves and get rid of all their addictions to instant gratification. If you would like to have a one-on-one meeting with me, then check out the link in the description.
The next thing that is actually lowering your attention span is your diet. Like, you have no idea how much your diet is contributing to your shortened attention span. Like, let me tell you a few things about me. You know, back when I was a teenager, I was eating like processed food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, I used to have McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And what I realized then was I was only able to sit still and concentrate for 20 to 40 minutes. That's it. That was my attention span, just 20 to 40 minutes, because I was so full of this processed garbage. Like, your body wasn't meant to digest this shit, and it had to spend so much more energy into digesting that crap and actually taking nutrients from it, that it could not afford any more nutrients for me to actually focus. So I was just chronically fatigued and could not focus. I had no brain power. As soon as I stopped eating processed food, my attention span skyrocketed to 2 or 3 hours. Now, this is like a major boost. And what do I mean by processed food exactly? Like, things that, well, the earth does not grow, or you cannot find it in nature. So these are actually manufactured in factories where there's some scientist wearing a lab coat and making that thing as addictive as possible. And these things usually have like 30-40 ingredients. They are not whole foods. They are not natural. Your body was never meant to consume this. And when you actually put this in your body has to spend a lot of extra energy in trying to break this shit down. And when it does so, it has no energy to actually focus on other things. This is why as soon as I gave up on processed food, my ability to focus skyrocketed from 20 to 40 minutes to 2 to 3 hours a day. This is like a 300 or 400% boost. And I was able to get another boost when I actually reduced my carb intake, especially when I was focused. So whenever I tried a ketogenic diet, it is a diet when you actually basically don't consume any carbs. Or when I tried carnivore diet, so basically in which you are eating only meat and meat-centered stuff, even though I was having fruits, my attention span literally skyrocketed. It became elite, 4 to 5 hours. a day. Again, you don't have to go this extreme, but what I would say is instantly cut off all processed food and try not to eat carbs while you are working on something, because you're going to experience that carb crash. Try to put your carbs later on in the day, so that once you're done with your deep focus work, then you can afford to feel that crash. One of the tools that I found useful was fasting. Like whenever I'm in a fasted state, that means there's no food in my belly, there's nothing for my body to digest. I felt extremely focused. So you can try this. Try to fast like 14-15 hours a day and try to finish your deep work while you're in that fasted state. The next thing is your sleep quality. If you have a poor sleep schedule, then nothing that I will say will help you, because sleep is the foundation. And if your foundation is crap, if your foundation is weak and shitty, then you can put nothing over it. It's all going to crumble and fall down. If you are not getting quality sleep, nothing that I say in this presentation is actually going to help you. As a matter of fact, nothing anyone says is going to be able to help you. So how long you sleep is important. Like I hear people say this all the time. Hey Jibreal, I sleep 8 hours a day, but my attention span is still crap. And the reason is because you are not sleeping at the right time and you're not waking up at the right time consistently. So you need to sleep at the same time every single day, and you need to wake up at the same time every single day, and during that interval you need to get a good amount, like 7 to 8 hours of sleep. When you accomplish these two things, it is then you will feel amazing. If you miss out on any of these things, either the quantity of sleep or either the timing of sleep, then you are going to feel jet lagged because your body has not recovered. Your ability to process information will go down. Your ability to focus will diminish significantly. Like just missing an hour or two of sleep will reduce your ability to do deep work by like at least 2 hours. It'll make it into 50%. So you need to optimize your sleep. Like you need to sleep religiously. Your day should be centered around your sleep. I know this sounds crazy, this sounds absurd, but if you're obsessed with focus and attention, if you're obsessed with having like elite level of focus and attention, then your sleep is non-negotiable. The number of social gatherings that I've cancelled because they were too late is just absurd, and I do not regret it because I felt amazing, cognitively really sharp the entire week, the entire time. And I used to have insomnia, man. Like I had to like flip around for like 2 hours, stare at the ceiling, sacrifice a virgin to Satan in order to actually fall asleep. But watching Andrew Huberman's stuff really helped me. It actually made my sleep quality amazing. So check out Andrew Huberman's podcasts on sleep, where he talks about receiving sunlight as soon as you wake up and avoiding light at night. He talks about how fasting can help you sleep and what to avoid, the stimulants, when to consume them, etc. And that will actually make your sleep quality elite. Watch that podcast if your sleep quality is shit. The fourth tool that will help you is something called deep work. Now, deep work is this concept introduced in this book by Cal Newport, and the name of the book is Deep Work as well. So Cal Newport is this computer scientist. That means he is doing highly cognitively demanding work day in and day out. So this guy knows what he's talking about. So Cal Newport basically categorizes all sort of work that you do into two categories. So the first category is deep work. Now this is like really cognitively demanding work, and usually when you do this work, the byproduct of this work is something very valuable. It's like you learning a really valuable skill, or you developing a really valuable product. So an example of deep work could be you programming for hours, or you, I don't know, writing an essay, or you pretty much learning a new skill, learning calculus. That is like deep work. Whereas shallow work is something that is not that cognitively demanding. It could be something like replying to emails, or checking emails, or I don't know, organizing your papers, organizing your cupboard. So this is like kind of like housekeeping stuff, admin stuff. And people often consider this as productivity, but this is not productive. Like not productive to the extent that deep work is productive. So this is like more of pseudo productivity. What you need to do is push your ability to do deep work each day. Experience a bit of discomfort. You actually need to challenge your brain. Give it the stimulus. Force it to rewire itself. This is exactly how I went from 20 minutes to 4 hours in a couple of weeks. Every morning, this was my routine. I used to wake up, brush my teeth, freshen up, sit at the table, sit at the desk, no distractions, and I used to try to focus on my studies, my academics. And initially my focus was like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and that's it. I used to burn out. I was exhausted. Every single day I tried to push it by 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And eventually I did this for like weeks and weeks and weeks till I reached 4 hours. And that is how I actually rewired my brain. I forced it to focus, sit and focus at a task. And it was uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. Like initially it was kind of uncomfortable, but you just have to give yourself a decent amount of discomfort. Of course, don't go berserk. Don't try to jump to 4 hours on like the third day or something. Push by 10, 20 minutes. That's it. Feel a bit of discomfort. That is necessary. Some amount of good stimulus to rewire your brain. And eventually you will find that you were able to work 4 hours at a stretch. 4 hours in a day, I mean, of course. In a single stretch, I typically do 9 bouts of 90 minutes and I take a break of 10, 20 minutes. And you should really, really read this book called Deep Work. It will completely change the way you think about work and the way you perform work. One thing to remember is turn off your notifications and don't be in an environment where there are a lot of distractions present. And try doing your deep work first thing in the morning. The reason why I say that you should turn off your notifications is because you don't want to multitask. You don't want to teach your brain to get distracted and be excited about new things. Like, this is horrible. This is what causes the degradation of your attention span. Turn off all notifications and turn off all distractions and solely focus on one task at a time. Multitasking is horrible. Humans cannot multitask. You can switch between tasks, but you cannot multitask. You're not designed for that. So the last thing that really allowed me to improve my attention span, reduce stress, be more mindful, be more cognitively present, be more in tune with my emotions, is meditation. So I was meditating 7 to 10 minutes a day and I was reaping all these benefits. And how exactly do you meditate? Look, initially I used to think that meditation means being just zoned in and having no thoughts at all, like a blank slate. That's not the case. It's okay to have thoughts. Like, you are going to have thoughts. It's impossible not to have thoughts. But your job is to bring yourself back to focus. Bring yourself back to nothing. So either you can focus on the black space, the black thing. Once you shut your eyes, you see a black space, a black void. You can focus on that. Or you can focus on your breath. So you are going to have thoughts while you shut your eyes and meditate. Your job is to just pull yourself back from those thoughts and bring yourself into that void, that black space, or to think of your breath. You have to do multiple reps of this. Like, you are going to have multiple thoughts, and this is an exercise. You are going to keep bringing yourself back into that space. Your job is to not pursue that thought and go deeper. Like, you do not want to keep digging deeper and deeper into that thought and fall into that rabbit hole. And now you're wondering about if there is life on Mars or stuff like that. You need to catch yourself going deeper and snap yourself out of it. It's going to look something like a heartbeat, like an ECG graph. The spikes that you actually see, these spikes, they represent you actually falling into a rabbit hole and thinking about a thing. What you need to do is consciously get yourself back to this point where you're focused on this blank space and you're just thinking about your breath. And after a while, after 1 minute or two, you might be distracted again. What you have to do is bring yourself back. What you're going to realize is, as you get good at meditation, the stable regions are going to be longer and longer and longer, and the spikes are going to occur far less frequently. So this is an amazing tool that will help you in increasing your attention span. Firstly, congratulations if you have actually come to the end of this video, because you have a pretty good attention span, at least comparing to 99% of the internet, because most people cannot churn through a video that is this long. They prefer short form content, exciting content. So congratulations, pat yourself on the back, but now take action. If you truly want to get to those elite levels of attention span, then get yourself a habit tracker and try to incorporate these 5 tools and techniques into your daily life. Like the habit tracker I use, I have created is using Notion. It really helps me calculate my deep work and all these healthy habits that actually increase my focus and attention span. Additionally, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you should consider subscribing, because I give out such quality content which is pretty much in long form, and that will aid you in your journey. I'm not going to fill your head with dopamine and do some fancy edits or provide you with short form entertainment nonsense, which pretty much 99% of the internet space is filled with. So yeah, see you until next time.